Hello chaps, it's Troy having a tea in Soho. She will try to replace you if you do this, if you let your guard down in the relationship, okay? Now, it's been said before, and I think this is 100% true, 110% true, that if you think about game, if you think about sort of dating and stuff like that, fine, it's difficult, it's not easy, the dating marketplace isn't easy these days, we all know that. But if there's one thing harder, it's being in a long-term relationship, okay? And particularly a long-term relationship where you guys are cohabiting, okay? Because once you start living together, then you really are in, you're really in the hard yards then. You're playing on hard mode at that point. Why? Because there is no escape, all right? I mean, obviously there is an escape. I mean, you go out during the day, you go to work, do whatever, but you're always going home every night to that same person. There's no mystery, there's no separation, okay? And attraction, unfortunately, thrives on mystery and on distance, actually. When you, and this is again one of the terrible paradoxes about human nature and human relationships, when you get too close to the beloved, you would think that would be great, and it is great for a bit, of course. I mean, it's great. I've had some fantastic times living with people in the short term, but in the longer term, it can start to get a little bit dull. It can start to get a little bit samey. Obviously, the sex starts to die off a little bit. Most people report that, and certainly after you've done a few years, the decline starts to set in most cases. Now, I'm not saying, obviously not every case, there are people who are in great long-term relationships and good luck to them, but it's a pretty common experience that things start to decline and things start to die off. Now, the mistake that you must always avoid, is to let your guard down when you're in that long-term setup, right? You're in that long-term relationship setup, okay? You have to keep working on yourself. You have to keep self-improving, okay? Because if you don't, and if you start to let things go, she's not going to thank you for it, okay? That's just, the reality of it. You need to keep going to the gym, you need to keep working on yourself, you need to keep, doing your cardio, eating well, working on your finances, working on your career, and maintaining friendships as well. This is another important thing. I mean, a lot of the time, dudes and women as well will get into a relationship and then they kind of just drop all their friends. They just stop seeing their friends. This stuff happens a lot, right? Because they're spending all of their time with the partner. And again, in the short term, fine. You go through that honeymoon period, first 6 months, whatever, sort of excusable. But you need to retain your own individuality and you need to keep working on your value. Because if you let it drop, then, unfortunately, particularly if the boredom has started to set in, particularly if she's getting, still some cheeky little likes on her pictures from other dudes or a few DMs sliding into the inbox or whatever, are some of those other new, bright, shiny opportunities going to start to seem a little bit more attractive? Well, possibly, because we live in a world where dopamine is king. Everybody is addicted to the dopamine hits of attention and interest and intrigue, and we like a bit of drama, we like a bit of secrecy, we like a bit of mystique, and the boyfriend, the living boyfriend, is absolutely none of those things, unfortunately. And so you really have to. There's two reasons for this, right? The first thing is you've got to keep yourself in good nick for her and for the benefit of this relationship. For yourself primarily, of course, but in terms of the relationship, you don't want her to start to lose respect for you, start to lose attraction for you or whatever, okay? So you've got to do this for the relationship, for the good of her and the relationship. But secondly, unfortunately, the world we live in, where a lot of relationships do end up going asunder at some point, you want to be in tip-top shape and condition just across the board, so that if it becomes time to go out there again and get yourself back on the horse with the dating stuff, you're in the best possible position to do that, okay? Because a lot of dudes, certainly that we work with, maybe they've been married for a long time, or they come out of a relationship or whatever, and they're out of shape, they're not dressing well, their testosterone is low, they look like crap, they're not socially adept, It's just all of these different things, you know. And if you come onto the dating marketplace again from that level, then you're just going to have a harder time of it. That's just the way it is. So it always makes sense. And look, all of us, every one of us, every single one of us, myself and everybody who watches this, and everybody needs to be working on themselves constantly. Okay, self-improvement is not something that ever comes to a close. You can't just sort of say, right, okay, done that. I've self-actualized, that's it. I'm just going to sit back for the rest of my life and enjoy things. I mean, you can, obviously, but in reality, it's a lifelong project, in my view, to self-actualize, to really become what you were meant to be. And obviously, as things change, you know, you age, conditions around you change, your lifestyle changes, whatever. You need to keep optimizing in order to make sure you're in tip-top shape to go through that change, to go through those inevitable changes that are going to happen. So, as I say, it's a lifelong project. There's no real resting place, particularly for guys. You know, we really have to just keep building ourselves every day. And that's, in my view, that's a great thing, you know? You are the only person who's going to be with you for your entire life, okay? So you might as well work on yourself to the best of your ability and make yourself into the best version of yourself that you can. But again, taking it back to relationships, if she's going to replace you, it's going to be if you've dropped the ball, or if you've dropped your guard, to mix up two sporting metaphors, okay? If you drop your guard, you're out of shape, you're getting pummeled by life, you know, she's going to see you as a loser, and other guys are going to start to look a little bit more appealing. And, you know, unfortunately, we live in a society where infidelity and basically moving on is kind of encouraged, really, you know. I mean, we have optimal sexual freedom now, which is bad in some ways, good in others, but there's no real societal pressure on people to stay together now. You know, it's not like in the old days where, okay, the husband's getting a bit fat, whatever, but, you know, we made those vows, so we're going to stay together. These days, unfortunately, it's just not like that. So you've got to just, you know, keep yourself sharp, keep working on yourself, do everything that you can possibly do. With that being said, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye bye.